Hello there, everyone. I'm Austin Murphy, the actor for Tarkov here on Tarkov, A Halo Story, and I am also the director and producer for the show.
Hi, I'm Luke. I'm the creator of Tarkov, A Halo Story, and I helped write the scripts for episode 1 and 2.
Today we have some fun topics to go into, based on what I know of your involvement with Tarkov, given how you go all the way back to the beginning. Me and Luke. We're the oldest pals whenever it comes to Tarkov. I think you knew the voice actors for Jane, at least. I guess we could say like the original cast for like Tarkov and Avon as well. You knew them before I showed up.
Yeah.
But that's even longer ago. I'm curious right now, actually, personally, how far back does Tarkov go? When did you get the idea for this show? Because I honestly, if you have talked about it before, I've completely forgotten about it by now.
Oh my god. So, Tarkov was a story that I had come up with right off the top of my head right when I was in high school. You know, I was just bored out of my mind during lunchtime at one point, and, you know, I just decided, hey, you know what? To hell with it. I'm gonna write an audition on Casting Call Club for this, you know, silly little audio drama that I'm gonna make. And, you know, I never really expected it to get, you know, over 100 auditions. Like, that was, honest to God, crazy to me.
That was super cool. I remember seeing that myself. As a person looking from the outside looking in, it was so appealing seeing how many people were auditioning for it. I honestly, I remember I was looking through Casting Call Club when I saw it, and I remember thinking that the idea of making an audition, not an audition, audio drama around the dude from the live trailer for ODST was genius. I really loved that idea. So I actually remember hearing the first episode that we originally had, like the very first version of the first episode, which I don't think episode 1 had the most iterations. I think, I know that it had the most. No, I know it definitely had the most iterations.
Yeah,
episode 2 here, the one that we're listening to, had the most challenges.
Yep.
But there's all sorts of details that I can go into on that in a second here. I'm rather curious. So I know what episode 1 sounds like the original episode 1, the very first one from like 2015.
Oh my god, was it really that long ago? Jesus.
I think it was that long ago. It was 2015 or 2016 when we had our very first version of that episode. I remember rather well, but what kind of details would you want to give out to it if we never actually show it to the public? What kind of things do you think are like worth mentioning about it? Because there's a lot that I could talk about, but I feel like there's certain things about it that you really appreciated, like being able to do.
So I think the big standout part from the original episode 1 was definitely the section where, you know, we switched from Tarkov's perspective over to the Covenant, because, you know, even you agree that part was really well done, and, you know, I'm just super proud of how that came out. Like, I mean, I feel like I managed to get the Covenant down, you know, pretty well with that section. Like, I feel like if it was just me doing an audio drama, I think I'd do an alright job doing a Covenant-focused audio drama or something like that.
We're hoping that we get to actually expand on that eventually, especially with season 2. We want to go more in on the Covenant thing, but it's really good. I actually do love the whole idea. That was actually where Valius first came from. Valius was supposed to originally show up in episode 1 instead of like episode 4 when you first see him, and then episode 7 when you finally get to see him up close. And I kind of wish that we had gotten more of Valius throughout the entirety of this official season, but I was happy to see how he was and how he is now. Do you think that Valius was done justice in this season?
I feel like Valius was done pretty well. Like, you know, I definitely would have, you know, with me, you know, my original idea with Valius was to make him like a seasonal villain. Like, you know, he's an overarching villain for Tarkov, since the Brute in the original trailer gave him the scar, he kind of grew to hate the Brutes particularly out of any other species in the Covenant, you know, which you probably remember from the original episode 1.
And I do love that idea. Like, I remember that we had to discuss that one for a long time, and I think we eventually had that landing where we were like, okay, what if every season had like a different primary villain And it was a long conversation that we had to go through over and over again. But real quick with episode 2, what I said earlier, I said I would explain what I meant by episode 2 and through all of these iterations. And dude, I don't know if you remember how many versions of this episode I had sent to you, but episode 2 was around the time when I hopped on for production. And episode 2 gave me so many problems. This is actually, like, episode 2 was the time that we figured out how the radio was going to sound, because the radio sound had, like, 5 different versions. The pod drop, that's audio taken from ODST, like the part where you actually drop, but we had removed the music and then looped it and made it sound really clean, and it was nice. And then we had to go through all sorts of issues with recasts, because Avon dropped out. Our original Avon dropped out, and so we had to get a new Avon, which, shout out to Jack Fisher. That man did an incredible job as Avon.
Jack, if you're listening, thank you for being the new voice of Avon. You did a great job, man.
Fantastic job, I swear. Have you heard him, like, actually speak? Have you heard his normal voice?
I don't think I have, no.
It is nothing like Avon. It is stupid how much it's not like Avon. It's a little closer to his role as Boro, but it's like the fact that he plays both Avon and Boro boggles my mind. They're so different in terms of tone, accent, character. It's ridiculous, and that's partially why I love Avon as well. He gave him a really good personality that's coming out in the way that he's performing him. Like, you see it through this entire time. Avon is more just like a concerned father. I think this scene that's playing right now is actually a really good example of that, because he's just like, come on, don't be like that. And Jane is just being the rebellious one that she is.
Oh, God. Jane's voice actress did such a good job portraying her as, a cocky sniper and whatnot.
She used to be a lot more cocky, didn't she? Like, in the original version of her character, she had like...
Yeah, like, she and Tarkov and Mike were placing bets on, how many Covenant her sniper rounds could go through before it, reached its end point.
I forgot about that part. That's true. That's exactly what happened. And it was like, that was also during the time when, like, Tarkov and Jane would team up against Mike, because Mike was always scared. So Tarkov and Jane would make bets kind of against his favor.
Yeah.
I remember me and Jesse were talking about Mike last time, because Mike had I think he had the biggest change out of every character in the show. For sure. Because I freaking loved it. I actually remember my favorite scene that I got to do as Mike while I was still Mike was the original version of the pod drop. Everyone had to check in on their radios immediately, like we did in this episode. But the bet was who could get the first kill as soon as the pods landed. Oh
God, that's right.
And Mike squashed a grunt and nearly threw up. And that was the original. Like, Mike got the first kill. He crushed a grunt. It was hilarious. I loved doing that scene. I loved it.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh, I forgot about that.
I'm hanging on to that file forever. I have that original episode downloaded, so if demand gets high enough, I'll probably do like an unofficial release somewhere. That's nice. Just like, here's what we have originally. Appreciate history, because this is where we are now, but where we came from is so funny. It's so great. I loved it. Where do you think Tarkov is going to end up going next? Like, as the person who came up with the show and had like this whole thing in mind, where do you think Tarkov is going to eventually end up? Like, as a character in your head that we've now crafted and made into an actual guy that we can go and be like, okay, this is his history, this is who he is now, this is who he wants to be. Where would you want to see Tarkov end up? Like, do you want to see him like fighting Oni from start to finish, turning sides and going against the Covenant? Like, what kind of stuff would you want to see him do?
I don't know. I mean, like, originally, like, I had just envisioned this to be like a Tarkov versus Covenant story, and now it's evolved so much more beyond that. Like, it's became Tarkov, Chris, and, his other guy. I apologize for forgetting his name.
Oh, it's fine. That's Helix.
Helix, right. Now it's, those three fighting against Oni, and, I'm just super, super looking forward to seeing where that goes and, seeing, Tarkov evolve into the leader we see him become in the We Are ODST trailer.
Yeah. I'm super stoked to see that. Right now, my brain is getting distracted because I forgot about Abaddon up until this point. I forgot that he shows up in this episode, so I heard his voice and I kind of jumped a little.
Oh my God.
His voice didn't actually go through that many iterations. His final version is actually like the first version that we had of him is the final version of the show. We played around a little bit with how his reverb should sound and how digitized he should sound, but real quick, just because I like to do this out of the principle of the thing. The artist that originally came up with Abaddon, like the way that it looks, I don't remember their name off the top of my head. I know it's Stellar something. It's probably in the description somewhere. But credit goes to them because they did a fantastic job on this art, and our artist Sergio Mendoza did a fantastic job recreating it and crafting it for Tarkov's purposes. We have a lot of talented people on the crew, and I can tell you for a fact, like, I'm sure you will agree with me too, Luke. The crew that we have is the only reason why Tarkov is where it is right now.
Yeah, for sure. You guys really helped bring my series to life, and I will always be grateful to every single one of you guys.
It's great being able to chat with you, dude. I love the history that we've got, and I love where we're going with the show. And here's hoping that we can get a season 2 out, so we can do more of this and discuss more of these things later on. I would love to also have you come back for another episode sometime in the future, if that's cool with you.
Oh, for sure. Like, I love doing these commentaries, man.
Alrighty, well. Next time, I'm hoping that we can pull in our composer, Kev, and maybe we can also pull in, hopefully, Jack Fisher, voice actor of Avon, or Irusu, the voice actress for Jane. We'll see which one we can pull off. So we'll just see what we can get.
Yeah.
Alrighty, thanks for spending time with me today, man.
No problem. Thank you for having me.